All right. Well, welcome to Destinations of the World News webinar with ATM Virtual. I'm Emily Baxter-Priest and I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Destinations of the World News. Today we'll be discussing the changing face of luxury family travel post-COVID-19. Joining me today are experts in different fields of travel and hospitality. We have Adele Mardini, the founder and CEO of JetX, Michael Marshall, the Chief Commercial Officer of Minor Hotels, and Shirin Francis, CEO of Seychelles Tourism, all very much familiar. So it seems to be that the global pandemic of COVID-19 has left the travel and tourism industries in challenging times. It's caused unprecedented upheaval, leaving no sector untouched. It's been a challenging few months for everybody, as borders closed, planes grounded, and hotels shut their doors, meaning we've all had to navigate our way through this new normal, both professionally and personally. But the world, thankfully, is slowly starting to emerge from COVID-19, and travel restrictions are lifting. So we now have the opportunity to birth a new travel landscape and find new solutions. Luckily, people's desire to travel and explore is very resilient. However, we do need to reevaluate the ways in which we do so. Health, safety, and personal space, for example, will most certainly be new prerequisites, especially for those traveling with family. Now, family travel and multi-generational travel is one of the most important and growing markets in tourism. With destinations such as real travel, luxury travel, and family travel over the last decade. With people largely separated from their families and their loved ones in recent months, there's likely to be a key emphasis on spending quality time together, rekindling connectivity, enhancing family bonds, whilst also enjoying some much needed escapism together. So what does the future of luxury family travel look like in a post-COVID-19 world? What are the new needs and requirements? And how will the different sectors of our panelists within the travel industry better understand those needs in order to cater to them? So, first of all, let me start by asking all of you, what has been the biggest impact of COVID-19 on your particular sectors, and in turn its impact on luxury family travel? Michael, maybe you want to kick this one off.
Yes, I mean, it's been a very challenging, a big impact on us. We saw the start of it come, originally, obviously, from China, and then spread a bit across Asia, and then move into Europe. And as soon as it moved into Europe, I think then we really started to see the much bigger impact. And we had to close hotels, right across Europe, our NH hotels. And then we had to start closing in Asia and the Maldives, in Seychelles, in Mauritius, Middle East. So we ended up with roughly 95% of our hotels closed, or hibernation, as we call it. But we're now starting to open them up. So that's the encouraging thing. So, we're seeing good progress now in Vietnam. And now with Eid coming as well, the UAE. So, domestic business is the business that we can see coming at the moment, because that's all we can see regarding the limitations to international travel. But yes, it's been a challenging period.
And Shirin, you said when we spoke a few days ago that obviously international travel will take some time to reignite, but regional travel again will hopefully be something that kickstarts earlier on. What has been the impact of COVID-19 on tourism in the Seychelles?
Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon to Michael and Adele. Happy to join all of you.
Good afternoon.
Seychelles, we're a destination in a small country which depends a lot on tourism. Just to be more precise, 27% of our GDP directly and 66% indirectly, our GDP depends on tourism. And as of the second week of March, once the international flight started to stop coming to Seychelles, we started seeing the visitors' arrival going down to, when it came to the second week, actually, we were just receiving a flicker amount of people, and the third week, they were like zero. So as of mid-April upwards, a lot of hotels started to close down. By April, most hotels, if not all hotels, were closed down, except for a few here and there in smaller properties who choose not to go home but to stay in Seychelles, feeling maybe it was just better to be on an island somewhere rather than being in France or Germany or UK under lockdown. And so we basically at zero right now as we're speaking. And there's a huge impact on the Seychelles economy, huge impacts on our foreign exchange reserves, because it was actually our main foreign exchange earner. But luckily, or thankfully, I should say, we were not as impacted with COVID-19 like many other destinations. We only got 11 cases, most of which were imported cases. Only one or two cases can be considered as community, but it was managed very well that it did not really spread. And last week, the last person out of the 11, the last person got healed, which means that we are now COVID-free as well. As of week, we are COVID-free as a destination. So we won one battle in the war. The war is ongoing, but at least we won one battle. And as a result, the international airport will be open for commercial operations as of 1st of June, which is in a week's time, I would say. But the 14 days quarantine for the main islands, Maipra and Ladip, will remain, the 14 days quarantine in the quarantine facility. The only consideration that will be given are the island resorts, where clients will be allowed to self-quarantine on the island. And this is where the opportunity lies for officials. For the moment is definitely, we know we can start attracting a little bit of business that will probably will be coming via private charter, and that will be going straight to the island resort until other restrictions, of course, are lifted eventually.
Well, this is a great segue to you, Adele, with your private aviation in JetX. Obviously, flights have been grounded, although private aviation has, been able to continue a little bit more than. So perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 on the company and private aviation, but also I know that you had said that you have around 15 to 20 flight requests nowadays. In the recent week or so. So is business looking up, starting to pick up?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for Micah and Shrina for joining us in this webinar. It depends on our network, because we are not limited to Dubai. We are like a global company, which like Dubai is one of the base that we have around the world. We had like 50% drop in March, while in April we had 90% drop. But during the first 2 weeks of May, or 3 weeks now, we saw like there's like a drop only 60%. So there's improvement in the business traveler, because we can see like there is like some restriction has been lifted and the people will start to realize that, okay, they can fly in a private jet, but they should have like a special permit to fly via diplomatic channel. So the embassy of the country, they have to approve the passenger when they come back to their home. So we start seeing a change in the flight movement. For sure, the COVID-19 effect was massive in April, when every single country shut down. So in the private jet business with luxury travel, we don't have any trouble. The only issue, when the restriction will be lifted, everyone will come back and fly in a private jet. But as we spoke earlier, like our business is very connected to the travel industry, because when you are traveling, so you need to have like hotel, you need to have restaurant, you need to have a resort, you need to have a villa. So all this connect each other. So if like this dominoes effect, if like the travel industry will not open, the luxury travel will not be recovered soon. So, but again, like we expect things will be changed soon. There's like a more restriction will be lifted in June. And we expect in July will be much better. The major challenge right now is the travel for between EU and non-EU. For the time being, it depends on like we don't see any non-EU will fly to EU before September. Only from now to September, only the EU will fly like between the countries. Again, this depends on the the progress of the expanding of COVID-19, because the EU will revise their policy by end of June if they will allow the non-EU to fly to EU before September or not.
Now we talked about, I suppose the limitations and restrictions of travel, especially by commercial airlines. But as Sharina also said, there are possibilities with private aviation to go to countries like the Seychelles, the Maldives, countries where they have private islands with private airstrips, which obviously some of the minor hotels are in those places as well. So do you see that as an opportunity that really opens up to individuals traveling with their families to take advantage of private aviation, but also the Seychelles, the Maldives, and the hotels and very remote, secluded.
I can assure you, this will be the first sector and the first business will be recovered is a private aviation, because the people will value more how to fly in private aviation. I'll give you like an example about my own business, which means like if you are flying in private jets, like you are limited only up to 3 people who will be around you to process your arrival till arrival to the terminal till the departure. So maximum 3 persons. Number 2, you'll have a dedicated lounge, like you will not share it with anyone else. So this kind of like, I will not say privacy as much, like safer for you, for any traveler to be in the jet. Plus, like when you are in the private jet, so you will select the people with you, even if you fly alone, with a family, with a friend, with a group. So you select the people and they will know their background. This is in a way or two, like they give you like is much better position in order to plan your trip rather than go to the airport, because right now, even when they lift restriction, you have to go to the airport like 4 or 5 hours before departure. While in the private jet, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes maximum, you can be there. There's a lot of privilege that the people will realize on the private jet. And to be very, very clear, like for the past 4 months, I would say like 70% of the customers who flew via our terminal in the world is a new clients. We did not see this name before. All these people who usually fly in first class and business class. So we expect the business aviation will be booming and will have like much more exposure than before because of the COVID-19. And one thing I want to add here, which we recently start seeing, like we can see some group right now, friends, family, they are gathering together and share the airplane cost between them. If they want to fly to Seychelles, Maldives, or even to fly to their home country, they are sharing the cost of the airplane and they will fly together. So this is a new concept which we expect in the market.
This is that between all of us, this sort of social private aviation, as Adel and I were talking about, but also how that I suppose translates into guests for the wider tourism sector and hotels. Minor hotels has remote destinations. There are some incredible, very remote and secluded destinations in the Seychelles. So hopefully the growth of private aviation will also benefit, both of your sectors too.
Yes, I think actually picking up on what you've been saying, we think we could be able to open, some of our islands in the Maldives ahead of the international schedule of flights opening because of the private jet opportunity. We've actually had a few inquiries, which is exciting. So from Saudi Arabia, Middle East, Russia, so even some from Europe, where people want to come as, like we were just talking about, as a family, or maybe a few families together, and then, stay in villas, private pools, they can have their own private activities. And again, one feels that you're in a healthy environment, you're in a healthy, safe location, and, you're able to travel and enjoy those experiences again that you've missed while we've been locked in. But I do think, that people are going to look for villas, even when the international flights come up. People are going to look for private villas. They're going to look for, those more experiential resorts or locations where they can reconnect to the environment, or, the whole conservation, CSR area as well, and with families do more activities together, that we haven't been able to do for a while.
And Michael, you said that there, prior to COVID-19, you've sort of seen, 1 or 2 requests a year to buy out resorts, but you've seen a sort of increase in that over the last, few weeks, few months as travel starts to open up again?
Yes, we expect, and we think, we have also in Thailand, in Phuket and in Taralayan, which has residences, where we've actually kept that open during the whole crisis period, where families have been staying who couldn't get back to wherever they came from, or decided, like we were talking about earlier in the Seychelles, decided to, well, maybe it's better to stay here than to go back to Europe or something. So I think there are lots of opportunities. It is going to be interesting change, and we all. I know any of us who've stayed in a pool villa, all had that amazing feeling the first time you stay in one, and the privacy, the whole thing. So that's something we need to concentrate on, I think.
And Shirin, you said to me that pre-COVID-19, without families, only half of the hotels would be filled in the Seychelles. Over the last decade, there's been such a sort of emphasis put on boosting family travel. So do you see this kind of generational travel, this group travel with trust, whether it's your extended family or wider trusted network of friends, do you think that's something you can see?
I would say it is an opportunity for us. Seychelles for a long time has been synonym with romance and honeymoons and couples, but one of the success of our growth in the past decade at least has been after we started diversifying the product offering, where hotels were actively targeting also families, because one thing which we also realized where families were more likely to be repeat clients, because honeymoons you can, well, if things go well, you should only go once, and then it's the families that will come, because the little ones will come, and if your destination does not adapt to family, you will lose that client altogether. So we've seen a lot of resorts have evolved over the years to accommodate more and more families, and examples I gave specifically, we've seen resorts where honeymoon suites have been converted into family suites to be able to cater more and more for families. And therefore, today, I can comfortably say it does form a great part of the market segment who visit Seychelles. And yes, when you say families, it's not just mother and father and child. Also, we have, especially in the luxury segment, a lot of families travel with extended families as well, with grandmothers, with uncle and aunties and cousins. We see a lot of these. And as much as when you are following various reports, researches, people are doing saying, family travel might not pick up anytime soon. But I think in the luxury segment, and when there is still an opportunity for the country, because these are it's a segment that will incline to travel via a private charter. Of course, this is a very big requirement, the sanitation measures, the element of feeling safe, feeling you're not exposing yourself. It's top travel priorities right now. And this is where the opportunities will come in for private charters, where, like Adele mentioned, what will happen now is families will group together, probably share the cost of a flight together, and come and rent an island, the whole island probably, or because we do have islands with not much villas, so they might rent the whole island and spend the holiday there. Or rent a few family suites and spend the holiday there. And Seychelles is so it's an opportunity for us, because we do have a few island resorts, quite a few island resorts with small properties. It's not large hotels with 100+ rooms, but 11 villas, 10 villas, 15 villas, which is actually a right. If you're looking to be isolated, if you're looking for privacy and all those things, I think this is where we also tick all the boxes for the moment. But even the villas on the main island Mahia as well, I think it's built in a manner that will also allow for the isolation being required right now, not to be in crowds, crowded restaurant, crowded places. So I believe there's a real opportunity for us there, and it's something that we'll definitely be looking to promote in the next coming months as we relaunch tourism back in Seychelles.
Now, you touched on the health and safety aspect, because there obviously are going to be a lot of people desperate to travel, but very, very consciously so. Health and safety perspective is going to be huge. So from each of your sort of separate sectors, how are you looking to win trust, and what are you doing from a health and safety perspective to ensure those traveling, especially with families, feel safe coming either on a private plane or coming to a remote island or traveling through borders now and in the next sort of 6 months? I don't know, Michael, if you want to start.
For us,
Yes.
like we have we are allocated special lounge for each single group or family, and this is like the lounge will be dedicated for them. Even because we have multiple lounges, so we schedule like the time frame for the flight in and out depends on how to be exclusive. As I said, we limited the people who dealing with each single group or family up to person to all the time be checking and be all the time having weekly tests. The same time we have sanitizer for the lounge before and after the family arrival or the group. And the same time, even for the immigration, we have immigration is different than the commercial airlines. We have immigration only special for the private traveler, and this will make everything is much easier for them. For the aircraft itself, we are right now working on solution will be implemented within hopefully next week, that we sanitize the aircraft by the latest technology before the departure as well. So this is a role that we are doing to make everything safe for them, for their travel or during their journey. And again, we are very positive that the luxury travel and the private villa will be the business that will be boom in the future. And I believe if in the future we can have I will not say if we can have joint efforts with the private villa or private island to schedule a baggage for the customer who want to be in exclusive basis, to find a private jet, to be in a private villa. This can be seamless experience for them to have one baggage for all their journey.
Mm-hmm. And Michael, what about you from Minor? How are you sort of combating the sort of urgent need for winning trust on health and safety?
Yes, you're right. It's a very big area. We've looked at all the research as well, and I mean, 86%. Recent survey actually that I saw said 86% of people, that was their number one factor and concern when they were booking a hotel in the future. So we've launched the Anantara Stay with a Peace of Mind program, which is for the Anantara brand, and then for Avani we've got Avani Shield. So we've looked at all areas of the customer journey, from when you first actually arrive at the airport, and in some locations like Seychelles and Mauritius, we greet you as soon as you come off the plane and take you to our lounge. So all the additional hygiene conditions have all been worked out with partners like Ecolab and Diverse, with this much higher graded hygiene cleaning materials that we're using now. And then we are also looking at certification. Some of this is with different countries, with the governments like Singapore, Thailand. They've already introduced it. We're seeing that coming across other countries as well. So we make sure all our hotels are certified. But it's right across the board. It's everybody's expecting that when you're in a restaurant, maybe you don't want to touch the menu, so you can order the phone, or that you can order the food and see the menu on your own personal phone, looking at the app, or check in using your app rather than have to use the pen at the front desk. How the rooms are cleaned. We're looking with Avani where we leave them for 24 hours free of another guest. So there are lots of things that we're putting in place which will evolve, but are something that, you know, needs to be constantly reviewed as we go through the new normal, which is what we're there. But I think having, you know, with Avani, we've got like 10 key points that we're focusing on, and Antar are the same. And I think having the confidence and the trust of our travelers from the future, you know, is going to then help build the business, you know, and get the recovery that airlines, you know, the tourism boards like Seychelles and like us, we all need.
I think people, you know, when they do travel again, will look to the same partners that they have looked to before, because they have that trust. Whether it's a destination that, you know, they've fallen in love with and have been to many times, they will go back to that. They'll put their trust back into the hotel brands and the, you know, the aviation and their modes of transport. But Shirin, I remember speaking to you and you said, obviously there's going to be increased sanitation across all the hotels and resorts, no exceptions spared. Is there anything else on top of what's been discussed that you know, Seychelles Tourism is doing across the board for your hotels and resorts, and transport as well?
Of course, when the restriction on movements for Seychelles were lifted on the 4th of May, there were already a set of protocols that were developed countrywide, where how, as a country and its citizen, to operate within the new normal. And this is countrywide. It's everywhere. Every sector of the country have to apply these guidelines and protocols, be it in the church, in the school, in every possible business activity, at work organization, for example. Everybody have to operate within the new normal in everything they do, respect the social distancing requirement, respect the hand hygiene requirements, and also the respiratory etiquette as well. These are the three fundamental requirements right now that everybody have to adhere to. And protocols, like I say, have been developed and are already being implemented. And of course, the last one to be released and to be implemented will be for the tourism industry. And we will definitely have our guidelines released in time for the opening of the 1st of June, and hotels will be checked again, the minimum requirement that will be asked as a destination. The Ministry of Tourism is making sure that every single tourism services and tourism touch points are adhering to the minimum requirements in terms of sanitation as a reassurance for our incoming. Of course, hotels, I would think that the bigger hotel brands already have their established clean policies, probably much more elaborated than what the ministry will be asking, which I think will be good. But I think the country, it's a national effort to ensure that it's not only tourism establishment, it's the whole country as well observing all the requirements, because at the end of the day, tourists, when they come to the country, they don't only stay in their hotels, they go out to use other facilities, and we have to ensure that this is maintained. So as a country, it's really difficult. I have to say, we are all trying to adapt in this new normal, but for the future of our country and the future of the industry, if this is what is required, we will all have to make the effort to adhere to it.
And everything that you've all just said is obviously deeply important to the individual, but even more so for people traveling with young children, or if they're traveling with multi-generational, they might have, elderly or older, family members with them. So, hugely important. I wanted to ask a kind of comparison pre to post COVID-19, how you all think the needs of the luxury family traveller has changed. I know we've touched upon parts of it, but if there are any sort of highlights of how you really think their sort of needs and demands and requirements have changed from, before the virus to post-virus and going forward, for years into the future of luxury family travel.
First of all, I agree with Shirin, this is unusual situation, and it will not be coming back and moving back to the previous 2019 numbers easy. But again, we have to adapt with what's going on and follow the path, which like everyone follow, which is like to have to be how to be safe and in healthy condition all the time. For us, like we see like the the recovery in our industry will be very quick, and the people will realize how important to fly private, especially for the coming 18 months when there's a turbulence in the commercial airline. Because even now, if you see the major airlines in the world, they are cutting their jobs, cutting their route, cutting their airplane. So we don't see like big demands for the airlines, or we'll not see like as much like we'll not see like stability on the scheduled flight. So the people will go more and more for a private jet and the luxury travel. So especially when, as you mentioned, like for the people who has a family or the older people, so they will have to take special care about them, and they take care about like their immunity system, all the stuff. So we have to be like as much as they can, like in a private area. So we expect like a big booming for our industry. We expect to have like a growth like 20 to 30% minimum compared to 2019 once the restriction will be lifted.
And Michael, what about you? What are your insights as to
Yeah,
the change?
I think, yeah, I think that what we're seeing is that people are really now looking to maybe spend more quality time in a destination that they go to. You know, we had in the past where everybody wanted to sort of get the T-shirt everywhere. You know, and even in Asia, you would fly to Thailand, a few days in Thailand, then go to Cambodia, then go to Laos or Vietnam. I think, you know, that those days are maybe changing, where people will want to go to see a country and spend quality time in that one country and have a real connection, you know, with the local community or nature. You know, we see the coral reefs all coming back, and, you know, nature all coming back because everything's been locked down. So, you know, as a family, and we're talking about families, there's a lot of activities that maybe people have missed in the past because they had such short time in the destination that they can actually go and do together, you know, which I think will be, you know, great for the destinations as well as the hotels. You know, hopefully by getting people to stay longer, you know, they're going to have a better time, better quality time. They're going to spend more money in that destination, which would be good for that destination. So, and I think we've got to look at new experiences. I mean, we've always been with Anantara an experiential brand, one of the leaders and early pioneers of this. So, you know, we're sort of doing cooking schools for kids now, you know, and looking at different kinds of experiences where if people want privacy and they want, you know, hygiene and health, we bring the kids club, maybe not what they want, you know, they don't necessarily want to send their children to the kids club. So bring the kids club to them, you know, bring a beach tent, or, you know, some of the simple things we used to do as kids, you know, build things in the villa or the beach near the villa. So I think we've got to look at things differently, and you know, but that'll be interesting, and I think lots of opportunities.
And Sharon, what about you? What's your sort of insight as to the change of luxury family travelers pre and post COVID-19?
I believe what Michael said has a lot of merit, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our results are already start thinking through of how to still keep on attracting the family to their resorts, but also fulfilling all their requirements in terms of not sending them to the crowded kids club, for example, and I would think the various resorts in Seychelles would definitely try to have more in-resort activities for families, and more customized for specific families, and more intimate as well. So, like for example, not having, you know, a group of unfamiliar children together, but instead really customizing per family, per villa, various activities, and not losing sight on the whole point of why people are traveling is, of course, they want a break, but they also don't want to be exposed at the same time. There's still, psychologically, there's still the fear of wherever they will be going on holiday, they might be exposed to potential threat of the infection. So for this reason, resorts will definitely have to think outside the box of how to stay relevant and provide what the clients are looking for. And I think not just for resorts, but various tourism services in Seychelles, they would definitely reinvent themselves. They would provide more intimate, more customized activities, small groups, small family groups, for example, instead of doing tours, nature trails, or excursions where you see a large group of 50, 60 people in one boat, for example. Probably we will see a lot of the more smaller vessels carrying families out to various charters or expeditions, excursions. And this, for me, I see it as a trend that will develop and grow for the destination.
There'll also be a growth in, sort of reinventing, as you've both said, but creating really nurturing and unforgettable experiences that reconnect you, to the world, to the earth, to the destination you're in, to the family you're there with. I think it's going to be very transformative moving forwards as to how families travel, but also how and what they experience when they're at their destination. Now, pre-COVID-19, there was a wave of discerning junior travellers who were having a huge influence on their parents and the decision-making of the holidays and where they went as a family. Do you see that decision-making being firmly back in the hands of the parents now, as choices need to be so much more informed post-COVID-19? Sharon?
I believe everything depends on first of all, like how the media will support the new path of the opening, and how the viewers are not in a fear to go and to travel, because the media playing a very major role of this COVID-19, and we believe this is a major player, how the people they can change their mind of and behave and decide about the travel and the holiday. As you see, from one industry, 50% of the business leisure and holiday, and 50% business. We expect the leisure and holiday and business will come quickly, but the first phase will be the business who want to travel for a business or come back home. Then the people, when they get used about this one, or will make sure that everything is okay, then they will be plan their trip. But as we spoke earlier, everything depends on the chain of the whole industry will open, not only the luxury travel, the hotel, restaurant, villa, resort, all together. So from my side, I believe the media has a major effect how they can convince the people to travel again.
Sharon?
I would share with Adele as well. I think the media plays a big role, especially if they keep instilling fear in people to travel and keep reporting the bad news instead of the good news. Of course, people who are glued to their TV 24/7, they would still have the fee for travel, because as you will probably know, yes, the rate of infection across the globe, it's really high, but also is the rate of recovery, and the fact that a very small margin and small percentage of people are actually dying as well. But a lot of media does still focus on the negative part of what's happening in the world. So I would also think the media is actually can play a better role in sharing good news, good trends developing to encourage travel to bounce back. Because one thing we have to realize, even for in the world of media, travel actually supports a lot of other industries worldwide. And without travel, we've seen what happened to all the other industries. And I think all respective economies, they are thinking of ways how to rebound, how to go back on their feet. And definitely, everybody should help in that process positively where possible. But I think we also have an opportunity with the social media. As bad as social media can be, destinations can also use that to leverage themselves. They have direct access to their audience, direct access to their potential, and they can influence also the message as well. So you don't need directly intermediaries to share good news of what's happening on your destination. And actually, with social media nowadays, the various forms that exist, it's so powerful. If you have enough people sharing your content, you can actually make a difference. And I think this is where also the opportunity for sharing the good news lies for destinations and for travel brands. It's really to maximize our potential on there and to make sure that whenever there's a good news about your destinations, you don't hesitate to share it and to let the world know about it constantly, because that also can negate whatever is shared across through the mainstream media.
As you said, I mean, children, especially, 10 plus are all across social media. So maybe this is another opportunity in which to connect with, I suppose, going forwards and celebrate the good news and show them what is still out there and take away a bit of the fear of, what has been going on over the last couple of months. Most of the children around the world have been stuck at home, and, children still have, and youth desire to travel and explore. So hopefully everything that you guys are doing in social media and campaigns will also reach them and open their eyes again and alight that flame of desire to travel and see the world. Michael, I don't know if you have anything else to add on that.
No, I agree with both views. I think it's a matter for us as well, like you said, to keep communicating. We've been, even though during this downtime with the lockdown everywhere, we've been sort of sending our videos out with all the experiences that we have to all our databases. They're just short videos, like we were saying, use social media, which are they're 20 seconds or up to 60 seconds, but at least hopefully the children and the family can say, oh, look at this, in the Maldives or Thailand with the elephants at the elephant camp, and it excites people. I think the other part is actually we've got to deliver on all these promises about keeping the hygiene and the safety and as we go through this new normal. And I think that will build confidence. We'll get the early guests coming, and that goes all well. And there's lots of good social media, and press about that. Then I think that's the beginning. If, like we were saying, if then people see, well, this wasn't implemented or that wasn't implemented, or the hygiene wasn't there, or whatever, or the COVID started to be an issue, then that's going to frighten people again. So I think if we deliver on our promises and we we develop these new experiences and we get the excitement there, I think then we've got the seed and the green shoots to get people coming back.
Now, I wanted to sort of talk, as we kind of come to the end of the webinar, about silver linings. We've all talked about what those silver linings are from a personal perspective, but what are the silver linings that you see that will benefit luxury family travel longer term? Is it a slowdown? Is it the reconnection with families and nature and the destinations? Is it being in one place for longer and just being able to just sort of relax more? Shirin, if you want to start, if you have some insight.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
So I just wanted to see what your silver linings were from a kind of tourism perspective, what the kind of positive takeaways from COVID-19 you'll walk away with.
I believe I always like to say that there is no bad crisis. In each and every crisis, I think the world get to take away something new and to learn something new. And a lot of destinations, I've been to a lot of seminars where we've been talking about customization, about transformative tourism, all these nice words going up, but I believe now, after this crisis, this is the true the true transformative tourism we will find, where people would probably appreciate more the nature. Things that was probably just word of the lips now would be taken at heart, truly, because one of the things which through readings and research we've also picked is that people now are craving for to be outdoor, to be in nature, to be breathing fresh air, things perhaps that a lot of them they were taking for granted before. And this is where destinations where they've done a lot in terms of conservation and things like that would probably score some extra bonus points here. And I think this is the kind of tourism probably that I will see emerging. People will really be looking for this transformative tourisms where they would be feeling close with families, of course, because that if they are coming as a family, it will allow them the opportunity to bond as families, but it will also allow them to appreciate the true gift of nature. And I think the COVID-19 have given this opportunity nicely and brilliantly presented to us as well.
Adele, what about you? What are your sort of positive takeaways from from COVID-19?
You know, everyone who passed like 2008 financial crisis thought that this is the most difficult crisis in the world, and everyone learned from 2008 crisis. But for us, like when this crisis came, which we never expect the airport would shut down, like regardless like how much you build your crisis and everything, but you don't expect the airport will be shut down, and not one airport, like worldwide. So we believe like always like I believe like there is no limited for like for the after this crisis there's no limitation. And the positive side that we get from this crisis is that first of all, like we have to be give us more time with the families, give us more time to think about like how we can not depend on one business segment, and build our strategy depends on like one thing: how to stay healthy, safe, because we're sure the business will come back.
And Michael, what about you?
I think it has given everybody an opportunity to slow down. Things were going so fast, and to really think about, you know, what's really important to them, you know, and family is important. Get a chance to reconnect, also to, you know, look at that whole environment, you know, and maybe engage more with that. And when, you know, one goes on a vacation, then to connect with that destination, the people, the culture, the environment, maybe much more than we did in the past. And have a truly kind of full experience there. And the other part I think that's going to grow, which we talked about before, is wellness, you know, and being healthy and everything. And, you know, this health and hygiene, which is going to grow the whole wellness area, Medi-wellness. And, you know, it's already growing very fast, we know, but I can see that, you know, can also become part of a family holiday where, you know, the other members of the family can do wellness programs, whilst other kids are doing other, you know, activities which are, you know, also, you know, broadening their horizons and reconnecting them with things. So I think there are lots of opportunities. So I agree. I think there will be, you know, challenges. We've got a lot of challenges in the short term, but a lot of new things and hopefully a lot of new good things in the future.
I have one last question, but before I ask it, I just want to check if anybody has anything else they'd like to add or any other insights about luxury family travel moving forward. Okay, if not, then I'm just going to ask one sort of easy parting question. Shirin, I'll start with you and we'll go around, but I just wanted to ask that when all the restrictions are lifted and we can explore the world more freely again, where will be the first place you'd like to travel with your family and why?
Wow, I've not really think about that yet. I'm just thinking of how I can start getting people to come here. But I would, for me, I think a lot of Seychelles are thinking about this, you would not believe it, but a lot of people are looking forward to visit the islands of Seychelles. because we take time as a small island nation. We are quite well traveled. We do travel the world to visit all the wonders of the world and places where there's amazing shopping, which I don't think it would be quite high on the list right now. But things we don't take time enough is to visit our own islands, and people pay lots and lots of dollars and euros to do that. So it will probably start with our islands first before we start flying out. And it's actually it's being set as the top trend. As we're not happy about that, of course, as a destination. We want people to come visit us, but I think a lot of people are just looking to explore the wonders in their own countries that probably they have not been doing. They've been flying all over the globe to do that.
And what about you, Adele? Where will you be traveling to first once all the restrictions are lifted and we're able to again?
South of France.
Anywhere?
Mainly, usually I spending my holiday every year in Jean Cap Ferrat. So hopefully, like we'll have the chance to go there for sure. Unfortunately, I did not visit Seychelles or Maldives yet. I'm sure, unfortunately.
That should have been first on your list.
Hopefully, we'll be there soon, and it will be my pleasure to be in communication with you, like for my next trip there.
And lastly, Michael, what about you? Where are you hoping to travel to when we can?
Oh, I've got so many places that are on my list, but finally we talk about the Seychelles, and it's quite interesting because we have a hotel there, the Avani, and I've been to the Seychelles many, many times on business, but never had the chance to take the family and relax. So I think Seychelles would be on the list. Another country that is also a place where I've been on business many times because we have hotels there is Sri Lanka. And I've never been round and explored the whole of Sri Lanka and the parks and all the wildlife and everything. So I think those two are high on the list. So I'm looking forward to when we can do this, definitely.
Well, thank you, all of you, for all your insights and for your time as well. It's been a really fascinating webinar. I think there's so much food for thought about going forwards, travel in general, and luxury family travel. Thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you soon. And in the meantime, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.